Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Gold Goats and Guns Hour here on YouTube for the first, well, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes or so. My name is Tom Luongo. It is a brand new year. It's, what, the 4th of January, and, well, here we are. I hope this is actually going out over, hope this is actually going out. Did I get it right? Yes, I did. Okay, I see people in the chat. We're good to go. I hope everybody had a great New Year's and a great, just a good week, a couple weeks off, good Christmas, good New Year's. I know I haven't been around since before Christmas, and well, sorry, it is the way it is. So we're gonna do as always, we're gonna do, or as we've been doing for the last couple of months, we'll do about 15 minutes over here or so, and then I'm gonna pop on over to Odysee, and we'll do the real stream over at Odysee.com. I will put the link to that in the chat, and I will put it in the description of the video as well after we're finished. But for now, just know that it's in process because it does take a little while for that to get confirmed and finished. So that's why we do this here. So happy New Year to everybody. I hope you're all enjoying it. We're going to discuss tonight for a bit. I actually just got finished watching The Matrix Resurrections. Sorry. And I did so on the recommendation of a number of you, as well as my wife, who watched it last week while I was out for the evening, and was really hesitant to watch this movie. So because I had real serious problems with one, pretty much every movie the Wachowski brothers, sisters, siblings, whatever you want to call them, have made since the original Matrix, and knowing full well that Reloaded and Revolutions were just bloody awful. And we're going to get into some of that when we get over to into Odysee. I'm going to get into a little bit more detail. I wasn't expecting to talk about this tonight, actually, but the movie was interesting enough that I do want to talk about it. We're going to talk about Russia, Ukraine. We're going to talk about what's going on in Germany. It's a couple of things that I've been discussing with my patrons behind the scenes over at because I do private blog posts. For those of you who don't know, I do private blog posts for my patrons over patreon.com/Gold Goats and Guns. You can also follow my work at my blog at tomluongo.me. You can follow me on Twitter at TFL1728. You guys know the drill, but it doesn't matter. There are new people every once in a while. They have to be told. So we're going to talk about those things as well tonight. Also, programming note, I'm going to be on after I get done with the stream in Odysee, which will not go past about 20 after 10, because I'm going to be on with Halsey at 10:30, and we're going to be discussing his new crypto project over on his stream. So I invite everybody to go over there and to pop on over to that stream to see how that's going to play itself out, because that's very interesting. He just is launching a new crypto project today, and I thought we're going to go with it. So we can talk about a number of things. So the long story short is that The Matrix Resurrections was far better than either Reloaded or Revolutions. I've been of the opinion for the last something close to 20 years that had I never seen Matrix Revolutions, Matrix Reloaded would have been an acceptable sequel, ending on a cliffhanger, intimating. Then I could have intimated and figured out, come up with a better story than they came up with, and I'd have been okay with it. But that movie implies a really cool third act if they do this, and this, and they did none of it. And so I have real fundamental problems with The Matrix as a franchise. I love the original movie. I still think it's tremendous. I think it holds up brilliantly in every way. And I was incredibly hesitant to even consider any kind of fourth movie from them. And the simple fact of the matter is that because just about everything that the Wachowskis have produced since then has been bad. And after the last thing that they were involved with, as far as I know that they've made a couple of movies that are out there that I haven't seen or anything. But the Netflix series Sense8, which they made with Babylon 5 creator Joe Straczynski, I just couldn't take the gender bending and all the rest of it. So I just wasn't gonna gonna go there. I just couldn't possibly have had possibly have had any expectations going into this film at all. So, but last week, I got a tweet. I was over at my friend's house gaming last week, and I got a text from Camille saying, well, Resurrections was far better than the other two movies. And actually, I also got and also confirmed what Camille told me, was similar to what I had heard from other people, that there's an actually very interesting balance in terms of, and a very interesting commentary in terms of gender roles and where they're headed, and what the commentary was. So it was actually, honestly, almost responsible filmmaking. Still not good. Well, still not good. Still not great, but certainly not terrible. And I don't want to get into too much of it here while we're, just kind of marking time for a little bit. So, but I mean, as far as the story they were setting up, what they were doing, what they were saying, I actually didn't have any problem with it. I was very surprised because it wasn't, it wasn't literal tranny. Like, it wasn't literally an advertisement for trannies. And that's what Sense8 was. It was just insane. And it gives me no confidence, for example, that I think that, Joe Straczynski is going to do anything with the Babylon 5 reboot and make it even, viable. So it's very, very strange. So yeah, so when we look at it from that perspective, Matrix Revolutions is not bad. A solid kind of B-, a little long, a little lumpy. The action sequences weren't nearly as well directed as even the original Matrix film was. That actually really surprised me more than anything else. Like, that was my biggest problem, is I was watching this film from an editing perspective. I'm like the editing was, the storytelling was fine, but I had a real fundamental problem with the way the action sequences were cut. They didn't show any confidence. And this is a Matrix movie. Like, they know how to the Wachowskis know how to shoot action, or Lana Wachowski knows how to shoot action. So it was just weird. Nolte thinks everything is woke. Anthony Alpha says Nolte over at Breitbart said it was woke Matrix. Not so. He's a terrible critic because John Nolte over at Breitbart is as much a political activist as any of the people working for the Village Voice, or any of the other quote unquote good lefty critics. Ken Turan over at the LA Times. It doesn't matter, right? He's just as fucking bad. Okay, and it's the same thing that I get up everybody's ass about with the Star Wars films and everything else. They go in with a chip on their shoulder. They want to see what they want to see. They see what they want to see, and then they put it out there in order to clickbait, to make sure that their audience, which in this case is the Breitbart audience, which is, gets everything confirmed for them, because they don't want anybody to be successful in this. They want Hollywood to fail. They want it to collapse. Now, we all have good reasons as to why we want Hollywood to, as it's been constituted over the last 40 years, to collapse. I mean, look, it's an unsavory environment. These are not nice. These are not good people. These are not role models for any of us. What any of us know about the making of, a lot of these movies, and how women are treated, how young stars are treated, and everything else. It's all horrible. Like, don't get me wrong. And you can choose to or to not support these people as you see fit. I don't have any problem with that. I'm only ever interested in them from a story perspective and from an artist perspective, because artists do good work, and sometimes what is happening within that culture will tell you as a leading indicator of what's coming next. And that's why it's important to me. It's why I do these every once in a while. And yeah, aside from that, the movies are important to me. They always have been, as a means for storytelling, because they are the most powerful form of storytelling we have. And therefore, we should not just throw it away because we're not happy with it. We're not happy with the state of some of the people who are in charge of studios or whatever. So John Nolte, fuck him, honestly, because he hasn't reviewed a movie honestly in years. He's literally nothing but a shit poster. And it's the same. There's a guy that works for RT now who's doing the same thing. Every new movie that comes out, he has to pick apart, and he picks apart from a culture war perspective, and he's one note. It's all woke, it all sucks. Like, because that's what he sees. I have arguments with, I have deep problems. Like, for example, I got done with the movie tonight, and we're going to be done here with the stream soon. I got done with the movie tonight. I went on the porch, Camille and I were talking about it, and I said, oh, by the way, Jonathan Pajot is going to hate this movie. I can already tell you what he's going to say. Like, knowing the ending is how it plays out and everything else, he's going to be like, look, it's all an inversion. It's all a classic inversion. You know, Trinity has replaced Neo as the hero, blah, 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 which is not what the movie's saying. But that's what he's going to see. Why? Because that's what he wants to see. I mean, dude, he's gone loony fucking round the bend, like, with shit about Moana, for Christ's sake. And I was like, holy Christ, you have a real fucking left brain problem. You really fucking do, dude. You need therapy at this point. And, like, I'm dead serious. Like, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, if you can't watch Blade Runner 2049 and see great filmmaking and great storytelling, if you can't see, I don't know what to do with people like that. I just don't. And honestly, they need to stop doing what they're doing, because they need to take a step back and really get in touch with both sides of their personality. So, it's not a matter of whether or not Scott Colvin says Hollywood doesn't have any new ideas, just reboots and more worthless sequels. Just saying, Scott, what's interesting about this is that actually this is the interesting setup. The setup for Matrix Resurrections is actually quite clever. I mean, it's actually quite clever because it actually comments on all of that. It's like the first act of this movie is like The Matrix and Kevin Smith had a baby. Because there's a lot of, like, I mean, if you guys saw the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, which was hilarious, by the way, I woke as shit, but it was actually commenting on all the wokeness. Like, you know, it's a reboot. You know, that means you make it worse and add diversity, which is then what he does throughout the entire fucking movie, because he literally retells Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back worse and with diversity, and it's hilarious. So there's a lot of that commentary directly in the movie, which I find really, really interesting. And then, you know, the original Matrix films have been within the world of the Matrix. The original story has now been abstracted and become a corporatized video game that Neo is the lead designer of in this new version of the Matrix that they've rebooted. Really interesting. A really interesting commentary. So I actually have to give them credit for that construction. Like, that's when the Matrix was at its kind of Phil Dickian best. Like, they've turned it into the Truman Show kind of thing, and it's really kind of cool. So, and then it goes from there. And then it's, you know, in many ways, it's doing exactly the same thing that The Force Awakens did with Episode 9, which was to use a lot of the same story beats, and Mary Poppins Returns did the same thing. Use all the original story beats from the movie that worked, A New Hope, Mary Poppins, The Matrix, and tell a new story within those same story beats while commenting on those same. And in the case of The Matrix Resurrections, really commenting on those story beats as well, and moving the story forward in a way that it should have the first time, and not the ungodly pastiche of Philip K. Dick tropes that they tried to pull together in Matrix Reloaded, Matrix Revolutions, which was just terrible. So, okay, that's my spiel for tonight. For those of you, long story short, who don't want to follow me over on Odyssey, Matrix Resurrections wasn't as bad as it could have been, or should have been. And I actually found myself going, not bad. We got done with the Act 2 and into the early part of Act 3, and I'm like, I know there's going to be a whole lot of CGI and action set piece at the end of this movie, but I don't really kind of want or need that from this story, which will give me an idea of just, I thought, how effective the character work was and the story beats were. And that was saying something. So that they give you an idea. Not it ain't high art or anything, but it is at least it was at least thoughtful and clever, and it does have its heart in the right place. Right? So there you go. All right. So that's what I got for now. I'm going to be over on Odysee. The stream is ready to go over there. So we're going to move over to Odysee. Let me get you the link to that now. It's here in the chat for those of you who are retarded. There's the link. Follow that one. Wait for me. I'll be over there in a couple of minutes. And if you can't figure that one out, like, oh my God, people get so angry with me. I can't find the stream. I'm like, really? Okay. Whatever. There it is. It's there. I'll even post it again. Ready? One more time with feeling. There. All right. We'll be there in a bit. Okay. You guys take care. You be well. We'll talk soon.